Hello, hello.
Howdy, howdy.
What's up, fellas?
How's it going, guys?
What's cracking?
Ooh, just busy, busy. Well, not too
Yeah.
busy with the bees, but it's a kind of a busy time of year for everybody, I guess.
Yeah.
So, how about up north? How you doing, Greg? How's it going up there in Hopewell, Ohio?
Oh, it's pretty good here at Nature's Image Farm. It's this whatever this freaky super warm weather. We've been trying to give folks a heads up for quite some time about it, and hopefully they kind of took some of that warning and did something about it. We've got situations where bees have been flying for about a week, and there's nothing out there for them to gather. They're gathering grain from chicken feeders, and they're just looking for anything and everything possible. And it's a time where bees are starting to they're starting to burn through stores prematurely because they are so active. And what we did this last week, we've already put out probably 35 pounds of dry pollen sub just out in piles, and you should just see the bee clouds that come, and they right on the pollen baskets they go, and they take off and they come back. It's amazing to see how fast bees can destroy a pile of pollen sub, especially when there's nothing else for them to gather. So it's this freaky warm weather. It's not it's sort of bad news if those bees don't have insurance feed on top. But it is what it is. So it's going to be one heck of a roller coaster as far as the rest of this winter goes. So what about you guys, Brian? How about you?
It's the same up here. This weather is just crazy because like I go over and I still have buckets on,
Yeah.
and there are some of my colonies that, believe it or not, they're working on like their fourth go around with the bucket. So they're working on their fourth,
Wow.
taking down their fourth gallon, and I'm just like, good gosh,
What would have happened if you hadn't had those buckets on?
I mean, they probably would have all been dead February, March. I thought they had weight, but all of that said, like when you have times like right now, we're not going to have anything up here for them to forage on
Nothing.
until what? We've got 5 months. So from, you figure whatever they had stored up, is that going to last them 5 months, almost 6 months?
Right.
So I have no problem feeding them. I mean, luckily I did, and it's me. I tell you what, I've been saying, like, Bruce has been on the kick about intentional. I think I've said it in how many of my videos now that I want standardization.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as efficiency in my apiary, going towards that standardized, workflow has really helped out, because like every time I go over now, and if I'm carrying buckets out, it's just easy just to crack it. I give it a little smack just to knock the bees off, pop that plug, fill it back up, boom. It's just so easy. And I can go through my apiary in 20 minutes or so easily, where before, when I was messing with top feeders and all that, it's just, it's a mess, So this year, I think, I don't know why I never went towards buckets years ago. 3 years ago, when I got my packages of that from you, you said, here, take a bucket, try it out. I didn't listen. I took it. I never tried it out. Had I listened to Greg Burns 3 years ago, I would have had easier falls, but no, I mean, it's we're sitting, I think, in the same boat as you now. After Friday, we've got some rain coming, and I think on Saturday we've got a high of 46. So after like this little stretch here where we're in our 60s, we're just going to dip straight down. So I'm prepared, though. I mean, I went through and I got all my insulated inner covers, and I built shims and I foamed them. I got all that stuff done. So I'm prepared. They're already sitting over on my bench. So when the buckets are going to come off, it's probably going to take me about an hour just to switch equipment over. But I'm ready. So, and I feel a little bit more comfortable for my colonies that I have left. Keywords I said there, colonies that I have left. Um, and I think they'll be good, So because I've got my fondant sitting, and that'll go on them, of course. So, but I think they're pretty good. So, yeah.
Bruce, how about you?
Well, down here, Lisa sums it up. Grammy's midwife. She says it's cool, wet, and rainy here. It's been right now outside. It's about 61 degrees. We've had a drizzle going on all day long. It's just been kind of weather that would be miserable if you're out there in it. You don't want to be in it, but we have needed rain. It's been so dry here. And of course, we every year we deal with the same problems you guys are talking about. And it's pretty much all winter. It never stays cold for long. And so that's just a battle we have to face every year, seemingly consistently. However, I was out checking on some of the bees a little bit, feeding up in Ozark and stuff, and they're bringing in pollen from somewhere. But I don't think they're bringing in really food or nectar from anywhere. So I don't know where they're getting that because I don't see much blooming out there. But it seems like here there's some sort of a pollen haul coming in pretty much most of the year. Very, very rarely do they not have anything at all coming in. But the nectar just seems to be hit or miss down here lots of times this time of year. Well, really, there is no nectar now, I don't believe. So, but I'm feeding those bees up in Ozark, man, since I did all that manipulation back in the late summer, early fall. Yeah, I mean, I've just been feeding them like crazy, and some of them are just having a hard time getting built back up, but they're getting there. And some of them pretty weak. I actually put a little bit of fondant on some of them, trying to, supplement that way as well. This past Saturday, treating the ones that I was concerned about with mites, and just kind of in a holding pattern, just checking weight and health of the colonies, and not a whole lot going on here except for that. Eric from Spirit of Toad said on here, we just got to get through the next 3 months down here. He just lives close here to Lisa and me as well. And so really just down here, we just got to get them through this difficult time when there's not much food coming in, and just keep weight on them, just check on them frequently and just see how they're doing. So as far as bees go, it's not a real busy time actually in the bees now, just kind of monitor. We can never just close them up and leave them alone for 3 months. We can never do that here. We always have to be checking them throughout the year, but we don't have to really do much hive management this time of year. So that's what's going on here. We'd like to welcome everybody out tonight to our chat. As you see from the title, is that we're going to talk with Steve from Hives for Heroes. He'll be on here in just a few minutes. But I do appreciate everyone coming in. I'm kind of scrolling through the list here. We've got a lot of familiar names in here. No way I can never name everybody on here. Matt Kirkland's on here. I talked to him today a little bit on the phone. Just got several people. Sweet Harlan Honeybees. We've got Tar Heel Beekeeper, Keith Spillman, David Lewis, Steve Amos, Hope Sadler. So many people. Bohemia Bees is on here. Just no way to name everybody. We appreciate you being here. Grammy's on here. Lisa from up here close to me here in Ozark, just real close by. We got Stan on here. Stan Gore, who is a friend of mine and of ours. He is a big Hives for Heroes supporter over there in Texas. And, man, we could just put name after name on here. We should appreciate everyone for being on here. We got Sebastian from Beekeeping Gardening over in the UK on here, and just so many people. We appreciate you being here tonight.
Wow. Awesomeness.
Lee from Kodiak Farms, man. Yeah. I hesitate to keep naming people because I might leave somebody out and then they might get upset.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, we appreciate y'all being on here.
Steve will be back.
Yeah, he's coming back. Here he comes.
Look at this.
Heart of Dixie. Thanks for the super chat. Rammer Jammer Yellow Hammer Hives for Heroes Alabama. He says, I believe that's actually Ken Lebowitz. He is the Alabama. I believe that's Ken over there. He's the Alabama Hives for Heroes rep down here. And Brian, thanks for that super chat as well. We appreciate you guys. I actually met Ken I think a week ago last night. He came over and spoke to a little bee club meeting, little bee meeting we had over here in Ozark. Lisa was there. I was invited by her and Lynn Hughes. And it was just really neat to see him come over and talk about what they're doing. So without further ado, I guess we could welcome Steve Jimenez from Hives for Heroes in here. I'm gonna move him up here in the top corner, because he is the
this.
Look at that guy. Dapper.
I'm telling you, hey, when I get invited by this caliber of a team, you'd know it's important when Steve dresses up. I'm just emphasizing that for you guys. We appreciate everything that you guys do. Not only the channel, but you guys as humans have been absolutely inspirational to us, and thank you for having us.
Awesome, Steve. Well, I think we'd like to. I'm sure many people on the chat either are mentors for Hives for Heroes or are familiar with it, know kind of what it's about. But there are probably a lot of people on who are not familiar with Hives for Heroes or don't know what it's all about. So we've already got about 126 people or so on here. So, Steve, if you could take a minute to maybe talk about your history with, maybe just kind of what your background is and kind of what got you into this Hives for Heroes, and maybe a brief introduction as to what Hives for Heroes is.
Yeah, absolutely. I love having fun with you guys, of course, as we joke around quite often when it comes to our large conferences and being able to spend time together. So obviously, y'all know this isn't really the normal Steve here. So I got to take a second just to get, out of costume and back into real life. This is a really nice shirt, though. Really appreciate that. But
Stud Lee, looking good, man. Look at that.
Probably
should we turn on some music? We need to turn on some music.
Yeah, we got some action here happening. Thank you. I
was waiting to grab the shirt and just rip it off.
All right. So some of this stuff that we're going to talk about is authenticity. And guess what? This is who we are, guys. So again, thank you all so much for being here. I'm Steve with Hives for Heroes. I have the distinct honor and privilege to be a part of an organization that just is absolutely inspirational. Our focus is, of course, in veterans and first responders and transitioning in a healthy way from service. And we do that through the prism of conservation and sustainability through healthy beekeeping habits. But really what we do is we are a people organization, connecting to each other, connecting with our families, connecting with our friends and our communities, and literally just trying to make this world a little bit better of a place together. And that's what makes it so much fun. And that's why we do what we do. We actually enjoy being together, just like today.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Greg, tell us, Steve, a little bit about your background as far as what your history is. I know you were a military guy, and that kind of what got you into where you felt like there was a need for this.
Absolutely. I know Greg is still awestruck in the costume change. I'll tell you what, he's never seen me dressed up. I know that much. And I saw your post earlier before, I think it was against the law for you to be that handsome, I believe. I think that was your wife that might have posted that. That was wonderful.
He was recently
I think Greg
diagnosed handsome.
I think Greg I think Greg posted on his wife's phone is what I think.
Right. But I mean, you have to understand it was at the vet. So, I mean, you never know what they're going to tell you there. I will say, my background is the Marine Corps. I went in after school and spent about 8 years in the military, overseas, OEF, spent my time in 17 different countries all over the world, had a very amazing opportunity to serve in that capacity with incredible humans that were, serving in defense of our country. Got home safely. Not everybody did. And so these things that I experienced and things that others have experienced throughout this organization are very unique stories to us, but they are not unique in general. And so that's kind of the things that bring us together is kind of trauma and the things that we have gone through, whether it's boot camp or training or combat. There's a lot of things that we can empathize with and sympathize with that brings us together. And one of the incredible things about bees is we don't have to talk about those traumas. We just get to have that healing aspect through those with the bees, working with the bees, working together. And so it's a shift on what we typically think of bees as, let's know the science about everything. Here's the report. Here's the data. This works. This doesn't work. In our organization, we, of course, want you to be a great beekeeper, hopefully, but that's not the emphasis. The emphasis is being a great person. And a lot of people here, we just had Veterans Day, right? So Marine Corps birthday was November 10th. We have Veterans Day. So thank you to all the veterans that are out there. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. And please don't ever forget the families that are standing right next to them or behind them, sacrificing as well. So hugely important to recognize that entire family and the community that supports us as we go overseas or do Even missions here. National Guard does a lot of missions here for flooding or disaster relief and things of that nature. So that's kind of a little bit of my background. I went to A&M, went to the Marines, again, transitioned back home, did not have a great transition, did very well in private sector, not so much in my head and my heart. And so that got me to a place where things on the outside looked really good. Everything was awesome on the outside. Inside, not so much. And there was a period of depression that I went through after a divorce that was about 3 years. And that was a lot of poor choices, alcohol, etc. And then snapped out of it with bees. And that was all from an introduction from a friend to something I never wanted to do that absolutely changed my life. And I know there's a lot of people on this channel that can feel that.
That's amazing, Steve. There is just, well, I'll ask you the question first. One of the most interesting things is there is just something intrinsic with this particular connection, and it's different for everybody. But it's an honor to ask folks this question. It's an honor to ask you the question. For you, Steve, as you're in that moment, I think a lot of us, no matter our background or experience in life, we can be, and we can find ourselves in that dark part of the mind, that dark part of the heart, and be looking over that cliff of decision and life in general. And so some of us are lucky enough to have just a little bit of light, a lighthouse out on the distance that can just give us a little hope and kind of bring things in for us and get us into a healthy place, get us back on the path. And bees, for whatever reason, God has put bees on this planet for a lot of reasons, but there is a beautiful connection that we have with the bees. So my question to you, Steve, is what is it about those bugs in the box for you?
I've been trying to describe it since late 2018. 18 is when I was invited to an event, like I had mentioned, that I didn't want to go to. And that's why one of the tenets that we have is relationships, because I went for a friend. I want to spend time with a friend. And if you're in the military, and just as a civilian or in general, you oftentimes go through some discomfort to spend time with people that you would like to spend time with. And in this case, as you're spending that time, you're doing something that is completely outside of your comfort zone, completely unknowledgeable, but there was also this like risk associated with it, right? So there's this adrenaline aspect that it's like, okay, what's going to go on? This unknown type circumstance. And I've heard Troy say this in the yard before. Veterans is typically, and especially, highly trained or combat veterans are very good in unknown because we get to sit back and rely on our training, right? And that actually brings comfort. So we also talk about having, going from chaos to contentment or chaos to calmness, because that's what it felt like, but I could never explain it. Very hard to put into words what it feels like physiologically, emotionally, spiritually, whenever you open this, the box of bugs like you talk about, right? These bugs in a box, and they come out, and there's this fear associated, yet all of a sudden it's okay. Like it's gonna be okay, right? You got and we have the adage of you trust yourself, your gear, and your buddies. You follow this known process, you have success, and you build confidence. So now all of a sudden, from before you open the box to closing that box, you're a different person. And it's a pretty incredible experience. And of course, we can't explain that scientifically. You know where it comes from.
Exactly. That's amazing. There is something special about those bees that we all find. Some of us may find the thing about it, but I think what's beautiful about it is it's almost as though it's one of those out there kind of thinking things where once you start to put your finger on the thing that it is, it disappears. And that's almost the beauty of it is it's just out here on the peripheral that it's, and we know it's there. We appreciate it. It's a part of who we are, what we're doing. And for a lot of us, what we feel like we're called to do on this earth, that bees are the conduit to people is something that we say a lot. And I'm absolutely blessed to be on the screen with literally 3 of some of my favorite humans on earth because bees have been the conduit to have bring us all connected, and it's amazing what that can do. Steve, there's a lot of outlets for folks to get training, to get education, to get some information pertaining to beekeeping. There are a lot of veteran organizations. There are a lot of support systems and things like that. At the end of the day, getting veterans in a healthy place and on a path in life where they can be successful, that's the mission, that's the goal. But what I was so impressed with Hives for Heroes is it's about that conduit, it's about that connection, getting those veterans connected to a mentor to form those meaningful, long-lasting relationships right there in the yard, cracking a lid. That's a lot different than book work or classwork. When you're forming those kind of relationships, it makes a huge impact. Can you talk to us a little bit about the kind of impact that you feel that Hives for Heroes is making out there, not only in the veteran community, but in the beekeeping community?
That's a great. I mean, you just had a lot of stuff in that statement right there. Constantly chasing things. For me, like when you were talking about that feeling of the bees, I actually have like golf adages on that. Right, you have that one shot, and that's the feeling, but it's so fleeting that you want to continue golfing. Yeah. It's just with beekeeping, it's a regular, and that's pretty amazing in and of itself. Your comments to the education and resources that are out there, guys, there are tons of opportunities out there, right? There are tons of schools. You have 13 master beekeeping programs. You have education programs. You likely have things in your communities through your state beekeeping associations, your county associations, whether it's a book or a YouTube. There are tons of resources and things out there for you to be successful. And a lot of those are listed on our website under the resource tab, which is something that we provide obviously free because those things need to be seen. People should show up. They need to be there. When it comes to the human side though, right, there's a lot of science out there. And that's great because we partner with a lot of science organizations, but there's still that human factor. There's the knee-to-knee, face-to-face, small town to small town, urban, big city feel with the shared hardships, the shared experiences that come from the past. We don't live in the past, but we still have the past that we come through our life with, and we're able to form these bonds that allow us to kind of unshackle the things from our past and move forward. And that's incredible in and of itself. And who would have thought that that would come with bees or a conversation with somebody that the only thing you have in common is bees, right? I mean, look at the over 4,000 people in the network that we have right now. You wouldn't even know that somebody is connected with somebody, but they'll come up to you and let you know, right? They'll come up to you and be like, my newbie, my mentor. They are so proud of the people that are in their community, the people that are spending time, the knowledge, the experience. Those things are just incredibly important, and it all comes back to the heart. It all comes back to the person that's sitting across from you, or the person that's having that new shared hardship. And we talk about that in the Marine Corps specifically, but I know all military people do. Sometimes it really sucks to be in the suck. Right? But we all did it together, which makes it impactful, which is a story you share with everybody from the remainder of your life. Well, the same thing happens when you forget to zip your veil and there's 20 bees in there, right? That's the same story. And then when you share that story with somebody else, it'll be like, let me tell you a time when I forgot to zip up. So there's the shared camaraderie that goes throughout every beekeeper, but it's very intimate when it's between you and your mentor, or when your families start getting together. Right now, all of a sudden, you're becoming more healthy. Your kids and your spouses want to be around you, and you're healthy. You're happy. They're happy. I mean, what else better could it be? All with this, this box of bugs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like you mentioned you guys can hear me okay, can't you? It's almost like it's kind of like an experience that we share together. Obviously, it's nothing like what so many of our heroes go through, but not a lot of people have been in beehives, and so once you've done that and you've experienced that, it's kind of interesting. I was talking to someone the other day about how if you're in a room of people and people are just talking and someone finds out you're a beekeeper, it's like everybody just looks at you and all of a sudden they start firing questions off at you. It's like all the other topics are forgotten about, right? It happens sometimes. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's a community. We're a part of a unique and honestly a fairly small community when you look at the total population. And so, not only can, I think one thing about Hives for Heroes, and I'm just getting started. I haven't actually worked with my mentee yet. I just got matched up last week and I need to get a hold of her, and well, I've talked to her, but we're going to try and start doing some things here before too long. But, there's that. It's a couple things. Number one, I can share my bee knowledge with my mentee, him or her, and then they can share their feelings, what they've been through. And it just kind of, it's like a relationship. You gain a deeper respect for each other. And then, in the community that you have, the support system you have with Hives for Heroes, then people can share their experiences from both sides of the ledger and also as a community together. And so it's just kind of the whole community is just building and building and building. And I think this whole community of beekeepers that we've tried to kind of, the feeling or the vibe that we've tried to establish with the stream team, I think bringing Hives for Heroes into that more is just going to help grow all of it together. I think that's one reason I really felt kind of I think I could describe it as a nudge to have this tonight as a topic. I felt like I needed to do that for some reason. And so it's just kind of neat to kind of get you on here and just let's talk about this thing even more. But I see people in the comments, people talk about their bees and they're real proud of their bees. And I see folks on here sharing their military experiences and where they served in the military and some of the things they did, and as well as some of their beekeeping experiences all together. And so that's kind of neat to just see people talking to each other, getting to know each other, finding out that you were in the military and you have a common thread there as well. So just relationships are being established right now in the chat as we're talking here on this stream team. So it's just kind of a neat thing to see happen. It's really cool.
And Greg mentioned connection earlier. And for us, it's kind of in three ways, right? You're talking about connecting now to somebody in your local area. And one of the things I love about Hives for Heroes was we intentionally don't solicit. We intentionally don't have marketing dollars. This isn't because we don't have the dollars to go do that. That's just not important to us. The word of mouth, the relationship, the organic growth is the powerful piece. It is a way to mimic what we can learn from nature through our friends of the bees, and we can mimic that organically and understand that it continues to grow when you're just doing the right things, right? It just happens. And that connection piece that you were talking about, of course, we've had, we're not software engineers over here, if nobody knows that, right? We're not software engineers and professionals that do all this massive networking and, have this back end platform that is just amazing. These are people on the back end putting their blood, sweat, tears, emotions, time into connecting you to somebody in your area. And the beautiful part about that is we get to build relationships even from that. Because I'm going to pick up a phone, or one of our state leaders is going to pick up a phone. Charles is going to pick up the phone and say, hey, do you know anybody in your area? John, Susan, Sarah, Bill, they're right here, but we don't have anybody there. Is there some way that we can just get one person to serve one person? And I think that's very tantamount to the military structure, but it's also just being a good neighbor, right? There's a lot of people on this call. I mean, I know where Greg's at. You trust and rely on your neighbors for a lot of things. You don't ask a lot in return because you know it's going to come back at one level or another, right? This is what we do out on the farms for sure. Hey, I need some help over here. The cattle got out, right? And I love calling the bees, the flying cattle, right? With the agricultural exemption and everything. But, cattle got out, I'm out of town. What do? Well, I'm going to call my neighbor. It's not because I don't have any other options. I could get back there. I could do it myself. I could have the pride of driving back 3 hours to go do that. But, a little bit of humility, some trust, a little bit of teamwork in there. And you're calling your neighbor and say, hey, can you help me out this one time? I got you later on. And there's a lot of that goes on with Hives for Heroes.
Steve, we've got a comment here. He says, this dude's a genius. This is Eric, my friend. He lives close to me here. Can you reintroduce Steve? And so just for those who may have come on later and may not know who Steve is and what he's about, Steve, you're the founder and CEO of Hives for Heroes. Is that correct? And so Steve,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And we're talking about what Hives for Heroes does, but if you could take a minute, Steve, and talk about, we've talked about mentors, mentees, kind of talk briefly about the requirements for each and what's expected. I really hope, what I really hope in this, I know there are a lot of mentees that are looking for mentors out there. I'm not sure right here in this area how well known Hives for Heroes is where I'm at. I know we've just got a few of us starting to do it. But I'm sure there will be more mentees trying to come on board as they find out about it. So what are the requirements for both the mentees and the mentors, and how can people actually become a part of Hives for Heroes? I'd encourage everyone on here. We have a lot of beekeepers on here who have been doing it for a while, who would make tremendous. I know Eric Spirit of Toe would make a tremendous mentor. He worked with me the other day. Lisa's already doing it. We've got several people that I know personally here that would be, but they just probably don't even know about Hives for Heroes, a lot of people. So what are the requirements to both be a mentor and a mentee to get started in the program?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you all for asking that. And clarity, clear is kind, right? As Brene Brown would say. The first thing that you need to know is you can go to the website for all information. So that's going to be hivesforheroes.com. I think I see it scrolling across the bottom.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
So on the newbie side, we ask nothing of you other than to be somebody that served in a military setting or in a first responder setting. That's it. And then the other thing that we ask of you is to have some kind of level of wanting to be involved with bees. It is a very, very intentionally low barrier of entry. All right. What to expect as a newbie. In your first year, we ask you not to get bees. We encourage you. We don't tell you anything. This is not a dictator organization. This is a guideline organization from best practices from some of the greatest people I've ever met in my life, to be honest. And we've been around some incredible leaders. Experienced practical side, educational side, commercial, backyard, sideliner, you name it. There's somebody in the organization, or probably 10 in the organization, that have some significant experience there. So we take all that knowledge and experience and we try to build best practices. But again, they are guidelines, not directives. That first year, we ask you not to get bees. There are reasons behind this, and I can go into that later if y'all like. But the second year, what we do is have our mentor gift a swarm, a split, maybe even a full hive, depending on what your capabilities and limitations are, to that newbie. Why do we do that? Because they earned it. They were with you for a year. Hopefully they were helping you. Hopefully they were lifting some heavy stuff, right? Beekeeping's heavy. Our beekeeping experienced people are getting a little bit older. It actually is a wonderful service to go to your neighbor and help them, right? There's a lot of heavy things, dirty things, just the dirty jobs that people don't see on the YouTubes because nobody likes to see that part, right? So in that second year, you'll be gifted those a hive, whether that's a swarm, nuke, etc. And then your responsibility is to grow that, right? You're also growing the bees, but you're specifically growing yourself, right? How are you now looking at those bees in a different way to change your perspective of life? It happened for me. It happened for literally thousands of people that we talk to. So we know it's possible. It could be possible for you as well. So again, that first year is learning. Don't get a hive yet. You'll go into somebody's apiary that does have hives. It's their responsibility. There's a lot of emotional connection to that. You lose life there, it could trigger stuff on the trauma side for our first responders and veterans, right? That second year, you have earned a split, a hive, etc. And in that third year, we ask you to come back and be a mentor. Pay it forward. It's a full circle. And then stay in the organization, please. Mentor others in your communities. We're coming out with online mentoring as well, where we have incredible people. Again, we don't have a huge back end over here, but we have some incredibly dedicated people. Jim, our state lead in Idaho, has been pushing for this for a year and a half. How do we connect these people that are in rural areas? How do we connect people that don't have a mentor in their local area? We got to get to them. So this has been incredibly important. On the mentor side, we ask for you to have a heart for service and have 3 or more years of beekeeping experience. Why is it so simple? Because we don't need you to have a Harvard degree to get one-to-one with a veteran and a first responder. You just have to be human and have a heart. And now with the 3 or more years, we know you're at least competent because you're doing it on your own or with YouTube or with books or with education or with watching your channels, right? So we know you have a level of competency, but again, we don't need you to be the world's best beekeeper. We need you to be a friend. And that is really a very low barrier of entry for an incredible impact in your local community, which then grows throughout the United States.
Mm-hmm.
That's great stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know someone said in here they don't do good with rules and things like that. Well, I don't think anything's set in stone. It's just you can see the wisdom behind that though, because I do know that it was DC. I do know that there are a lot of people, like for example, in my case, I was already matched with two mentees that I reached out to. They never reached back to me. So, that's one of the reasons you got to be serious about it and get some experience in it, because as you said, it can be very devastating if you get bees immediately, you lose those bees, and it's just can be devastating. And I think there's a commitment level that comes along with that, with coming out, hanging out, and then you learn. And so then when you get your hive, your colony, you're ready to go, and you do have that mentor to work with you. But you also understand that there may be a hive that doesn't make it or whatever, but the mentor's there to help you with that, to help figure out, get you some more, help you get some more, just whatever. So it's that relationship you mentioned with the mentor and mentee. I can also see the wisdom in the 3-year requirement, so to speak, for a mentor, because so many people get into bees in a year or two and they think they got it figured out. I was like that, and then I realized after 2 or 3 years I didn't know anything. I still don't feel like I know anything, but I do know more than I did, and I can keep some bees alive now, and I do still lose some, but I've also learned how to deal with loss with my bees. Over time, you develop that ability too. So, if you're a mentor and you've had to deal with some loss in the past with your bees, and you have a mentee come in and they see you deal with it, learn how to deal with that, then when it happens, you can work together to overcome that obstacle that may occur. And so there's so many reasons, I think, for that. Obviously, anyone can get bees anytime they want, but with this program, there's just, you're trying to establish a relationship, not just help someone get started with bees. It's more than the bees. I think there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, we kind of joke around with the adage of the bees are this big, and that's really what Hives for Heroes is. It's about this much bees, and everything else is people. That's right. And that's the important part to continue to communicate, because there are some mentors that say, I'm not a good enough mentor. Yes, you are. I promise you are. If you're willing to sit knee to knee with somebody and bring them into your apiary, yes, you are. I promise. And just so you can understand the numbers as well, we have 3 times more newbies, people that want to learn beekeeping, that are in your areas than we have mentors. So hear that again. We have 3 times more people that want to learn bees than we have mentors.
That's important. It's important, I think, to get. I think there's some people hoping on this chat tonight that'll go in and sign up immediately. And someone said, "Sign me up." Go to the website, sign up yourself. That's how you have to do it. It really, the website does a good job of explaining everything. And I think, Steve, and like I say, I actually signed up at the conference last year, but I really didn't get serious about, I just recently have actually started getting serious. I want to get a mentee and really go into this. It took me a little while to kind of, just get my brain right to do that. And so, but you can go on the computer, sign up. And I think is there like a Q&A area there? They can reach out. Can they email your staff?
Oh, absolutely. Email
so if you have any questions.
Support at hivesforheroes.com is our go-to. And if you have specific connection questions, because I'm sure there's newbies on here, please reach out to Charles at connect@hivesforheroes.com. You have people that are on this staff, and we use staff because just so that people understand that there are people working every day, but they're all volunteers. Yeah. Everybody on the staff is a volunteer, and that's very important to understand as well. Please be patient. Please be kind, as Stan Gore would say. Stan Gore is on here. Texas-friendly beekeepers, have to give a shout out to him. And he also sits on our board. Just incredible leadership from bottom up, top down. You won't find a better organization in the world. I can almost guarantee you that. You have people that have been retired from the military, people that are civilians, people that have been in the civilian sector that have done incredible on our board, others that are incredible beekeepers, highly successful. But the linchpin that we have is the kindness of our hearts to serve. There's a heart of service here. And a little bit about that, Bruce, is some people, there's a trust factor getting into this, right? Who is this organization? What are they doing? Is it another veteran organization that's going to, come here, take our money, do whatever, and then leave? Well, I'll tell you right now, we ain't going anywhere. This is an organization that continues to grow. We have been, of course, in all 50 states represented. We're in Australia. We have 7 other countries reaching out to us. It is insane. But we're not doing that until we continue to streamline our processes here and then allow that success for others in their country. So our priority is here. I can't talk highly enough about our team. You got Kevin that's running all our merch. If you're ever getting merch from our organization, it's literally being handled by the staff and by people and veterans that are getting those dollars as well, right? So if we go to a shirt printer, that shirt printer is a veteran, right? If we're going to get our mugs engraved, that's Kevin doing those mugs as a small business. We keep those dollars here to continue to promote that small business. If you're not a beekeeper and you have something else that you are gifted at, please let us know. It could be engraving. It could be, I don't know, building stuff. But there's a place for you here, right? That's the whole point. This is a large organization that has many parts. Kevin's retired Marine, right? A lot of stuff overseas. He can share his own story, of course. We don't go into a lot of detail on everybody. Charlie, retired Army. Guy's been around the block a lot, and he cares. And we joke around all the time. He wakes up at 4 o'clock every morning, hungry to match people. It's incredible, right? I mean, and if y'all know Charlie, you know the personality. It's pretty incredible. We got Troy that's taken over our corporate beekeeping. That's a great story of itself. First year newbie, second year growing, third year mentoring, and now a corporate beekeeper and doing phenomenal, right? Exactly how the path would work out. Incredible, right? We just have incredible people. Again, I'm going to continuously emphasize people throughout the entire time that we talk because it is so very important. Our state leaders are civilians, they're military, they're police, all sorts of backgrounds that you would be able to not only admire and appreciate because of their service, but still they're going to work with you on a daily level, right? From special operators all the way to a clerk. Who cares? It's the same line that you signed when you joined the military.
Greg, Brian, what questions do you guys have for Steve? What comments do you have?
Brian,
I'm just,
Steve?
man, I'm just taking this all in. I mean, I wished that my schedule would allow me to get more involved because I've known about I've known about Hives for Heroes for, it's probably been about 2 years or so now. Mm-hmm. But like I travel for work a lot, and there's even times like for me to make it home, I say I've got like an hour or two to burn through my hives, and then I got to get on and do other stuff just because I work out of town sometimes. So
yeah, you were mentioning that earlier.
I wish that I had more time to dedicate to a program like this, but I always, I've mentioned the program to several others. Like when I'm talking to people, if I go to groups, clubs, or anything like that, I'm always dropping the Hives for Heroes. So, But yeah, I just, maybe in the future, I mean, I might have to make the jump in the future just because I do think about it. And while I did not serve, I mean, even like when I'm traveling and there's times like my family or somebody's been with me and I'll see somebody in uniform and I'll walk over and thank them for their service. And I always get, what'd you go over and say? I'm like, I thanked them, so it's something that, I'm always one that I love watching like movies like 13 Hours or different movies like that, just because I never was in the service, but I know the sacrifice. And like you said, not everybody does come home. And there's a lot of times when people do come home, there's demons, and they have to work through. And just like Greg always says, what is it about the bugs in the box? I love it. I know. It's amazing though that you take that little insect and you can match up individuals. And I mean, one, you're helping out whoever the veteran or the first responder, or whoever it is that does need that help, but you're building a friendship that's going to last, forever. So a program like yours, I've known about it. I wish I had more time that I could dedicate and get matched up. I wish in the future though, because I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere as far as beekeeping. I mean, and I'll still be killing colonies 20 years from now. So,
Well, you know what? I think we have to have a conversation with Jim for you, because that sounds like one-to-one distance mentoring right there. That's what that
yeah.
sounds like. We can
Yeah,
talk
and
about that offline as we continue to grow.
sure.
You know, that's 30 minutes to an hour of just talking to a veteran and on your schedule. And that's the
Yeah.
coolest part about it. You get with Jim and he goes, "Yep, you're available Tuesdays from 7 to 8. Awesome. Boom, you're in." And every little bit matters, right?
Yeah.
And as y'all continue to grow your influence in the channels, we all know a lot of the same people, right? There is incredible people in our communities, and really, as we talk about it, we understand the word of mouth. That is the most important thing. Brian, you
Oh,
might
yeah.
never be a mentor in the organization, but you talk to one that made 100. You never know where
Right.
that's going. So just communicating who we are, what we do, why we do it, most importantly, and being able to share that, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook. Any single person, just like a single bee, makes a huge difference in the
Yep.
hive and in the colony itself. So we appreciate it. And we'll always have room for you, Brian. I'll tell you that.
We'll chat.
You know,
We'll
Brian,
chat.
one thing to think about is that you actually bring up a good point, because there's a lot of folks who they want to see veterans in a good, healthy place. They want to see them on the path. They want to see them being successful in life post-service. And just because you may not be in a position to be, let's face it, being a mentor is not for everybody, and being a newbie, being a mentee is not for everybody. No matter what sector of learning there is, you're always going to have folks that are good at sharing, good at educating, bringing folks along. You're going to have folks who maybe want to get into stuff and they get cold feet and they back off. And so if you do sign up to be a mentor for Hives for Heroes, and you don't feel like you're getting the communication or that connection between your newbie, you've got to understand that everyone is in a little different place on
Yeah.
how they follow through. How you're going to have some folks that are ice cold. You're going to have some that are riding the line, but then you're also going to have some folks that are red hot. And Brian, one thing that you have supported Hives for Heroes in so many ways that you haven't maybe even considered. But every time, Brian, that you come here to Nature's Image Farm at the Learning Yard, you're doing exactly that, because there are always tons of veterans, and you're down here all the time, sharing, being a friend to somebody, passing along tips, right? No strings attached. That's what's beautiful about Hives for Heroes. No strings. Yes, there are some guidelines for good practice, because, hey, those things do work and it's for good reason. However, Hives for Heroes is not here cracking the whip saying, hey, you've got that. No, they want to connect those two people together, centered around a hive of bees, and let that relationship build and go from there. And that is such a beautiful thing. The one thing I'll say is, Steve, we had the honor of meeting, I'm not sure how many years it's been now, maybe, I don't know, 3 years ago or so, whenever it was at the that Nebraska
Man, that was
reference. That was a great time, wasn't it? But we had a we've had several newbies since then, and I got to tell you, man, I got to brag on him. He hates it when I do it, so I especially have to do it. But I'm real proud of our newbie, Roy Adams. He's been at it for a long time. Army. He was a CO after service. He's now a fire. EMS, and he's just a go-getter, gung-ho, get in there, let's get it done. And was always he's always eager to learn, was here to build stuff. Let's go out in the yard. What do you need? What can I do to help? And it's when you can see that somebody, they're just almost ready to hit that click and boom and go, and you can just help them along just a little bit. Roy, help them out a little bit with some beekeeping things, and then I get a call and say, Greg, I've got this hive and it's got all these queen cells in it. What do I do? And I said, Roy, how many splits do you want to make? He said, 7. All right, buddy, here we go. Let's do it. Laid it all out. Boom, 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 boom. And he did it. He was making splits. He was rock and roll from the very beginning. He did so well, so quick, that what our personal obligation is to our newbie is, if the newbie if they're here, right? If they're showing up, if they're putting in the work and they've got that fire in their gut to do this, we're going, as a way that we say thanks, we're going to do just that. We're going to usually it's going to be a nuke or a split, just like Steve mentioned. But here's the thing. Roy Adams was already so far down this journey. He's already looking at bringing in genetics and getting his apiary kicked off and raising nukes and things like that. So instead of giving him a nuke, we gave him 5 queens to get his apiary off to a good start. Wow. That is an incredible honor for us to just be a very small light in someone's life, to help light the path, to be a very small, make a change, make a difference. That's what it's all about. And so I would encourage folks, if you're listening live right now, on a replay later, you don't have to be the world's best beekeeper. You don't have to be the best student. You just have to be a good person who wants to help see somebody do well, help them get put on a path. You can do it. And so if you're interested, check out hivesforheroes.com. It's an extraordinary opportunity.
Man, you just unloaded, Greg. That's just incredible. And that's another reason why we have guidelines and not rules. So what now? You're gonna, call headquarters and say we can't do that. And this is that you're the boots on the ground. This is very military-esque, right? You have decentralized command and control for those that are on the channel that understand military, right? You don't have a CO in a COC, telling the Lance Corporal on the ground that's kicking in the door to not shoot, right? That's extremely dangerous. The boots on the ground know what's going on. That's why they're there. Trust what's going on there. There's good people there. They know their relationships way better than we ever will. I remember the days where I was literally on the phone or on a Zoom with every single match. It took half an hour. We did the entire spiel together, roles and responsibilities, expectations, what the 3 years look like. It was incredible. And unfortunately, we can't do that anymore. That's why we have videos and things on the YouTube and instructions for those. But things aren't going to really change that much. It's a general understanding of this is a relationship-based organization. Trust me, there are tons of organizations out there that will educate you, and that's important. But you have the opportunity to choose your own path. Maybe you're not good in school. Maybe you're not good 100% practically. You can do either one or both and become, a really, really great beekeeper, but most importantly, a really, really good person. And we do it together. If you need something, we're the backstop. We're out here. If the mentor or newbie, either one needs something, reach out, support at hivesforheroes.com. We're here. Get us on the Instagram, get the Facebook group page where people are constantly putting stuff out there. And really, really good people are making suggestions on the pictures or videos. Now, they might not all be right. They might not all be wrong. But we're all kind to each other and we say, hey, we don't come out and say this is dumb, right? We say, hey, in my experience, this is what I've seen and this is what, has been successful for me. We don't downgrade anybody. We don't belittle anybody or anything like that. Okay. We are very kind. We take that a lot from Texas Friendly Beekeepers and the people that are a part of our organization. But when you're looking at what a culture looks like, what trusting looks like inside of an organization and externally too, because everybody's really kind of an ambassador to the organization. And we want to be proud of the organization, top down, bottom up, side to side. We're proud of what we do. We do things, as most of y'all know, legally, morally, and ethically correct. We follow our core values of connection, purpose, relationships, and service. And we serve people well. And we do it, as a lot volunteer basis. It's pretty incredible. Now, the cool thing about where the dollars go, because a lot of people have those questions, is the amazing scholarships that we're able to give out. And these are to remove barriers from those that have earned it. I'm pretty sure Roy got one, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He sure did.
I'm pretty sure. As soon as you said that name, I was like, okay, this is hitting the spot. One of the great things that we do on the scholarship side, especially for the Be More scholarship, the Be More scholarship is tailored to small business or starting up your apiaries. So people that have that kind of inclination. And you have to be in the organization for a year, have a mentor for a year, and then you apply. The cool thing is it's double blind. There's no picture, there's no name. It is based on the qualifications in which you have, which you've hit all the wickets to the qualification, and then the write-up in which you've created. So this year, we're so grateful to HEB, which is a grocery store here in Texas, and Kodiak Gas, who was able to sponsor $20,000 to 20 different veterans at $1,000 each. And that's for them to continue their beekeeping journey. So when you see those dollars coming in and out, it's incredible. The merchandise, same thing. We do the BU scholarships. Very important to understand where the dollars are going, because that BU scholarship is for pretty much 90% of the people that are listening, especially military first responders. If you have any desire to go learn and be educated by some of the best in the industry, there's 13 master beekeeping programs throughout the United States. Research them. They're on our website. Research them by state. See which one you like. You put your money up front and you go to that organization. You pass the test to get to your next level. Hives for Heroes, no question, reimburses that cost. So there is no reason for you not to go get education wherever you want. University of Florida, Texas A&M, University of Montana, it doesn't matter. Wherever you want to go, what is your path? We're providing the opportunity for you to do what you want to do and follow your beekeeping journey. We want to get out of the way.
Wow.
That's amazing. Yeah, you guys are headquartered out of Houston, Texas. And it seems like this year you've put together a new learning opportunity for folks right there. I think you guys meet, I can't remember what day of the week it is, but you guys have your own HQ learning yard there. Tell folks about what you guys are doing there at the Hives for Heroes Learning Yard.
Absolutely. Amazing blessing to be able to do this. We're utilizing a facility that is donated, and that area is now, it's kind of in the middle of Houston, like literally in the middle of Houston. And we have 6 hives that are in the backyard. And this became a learning yard. And where do we get that from? Another nugget of wisdom from Greg Burns. I think it was Brian earlier that was saying, listen to Greg. So in a lot of that aspect, he's right. And we took that learning yard because you've been doing that up there in Ohio for a while. Kevin Monfelt from Nebraska did the same thing. B-Bum has a learning yard there. And congratulations on their new build out too. That's going to be incredible. But we have the build out there. We have 6 hives. Even if you don't want to necessarily get in the hives right now, we're not going to get in the hives, right? It's cooled off. We're buttoning them up. We got stands, sugar bricks, right in there. Of course, 5% of all stand sugar bricks from TBS go back to Hives for Heroes. Thank you very much, Stan, for that. But that's the overwintering side. You can use them if you want. If you don't, that's okay as well. But you've got to do something to overwinter. We've already put those in. We button them up. Just like Bruce said, though, it's not like we don't go into them, through these next 4 or 5 months. I know northern areas probably don't. We still have to because of the temperature fluctuations. But we go there every Tuesday from 8 to noon at a minimum. If you're still there and we have time, we will stay there. But it's intended. It's called the Heroes Hangout on our events page, hivesforheroes.com/events. There's events from all over the country that are on there. I think Nature's Image Learning Yard is even on there, right? So, and if you do have an event as well as a side, if you have an event that you would like to do, please make them no cost. This isn't to make anybody rich or anything like that. If you have events that you have in your local area that you know of, add them. There's an add events button. Put them on there. Somebody in your area might be able to go to that. But we're there every Tuesday, 8 to noon. And we call it Heroes Hangout. It's intentional to say hangout. There is no forced beekeeping. There is no forced anything. If you want to talk, we'll talk. You want to hang out? You want to cook? You want to bring breakfast? You want to make coffee? Whatever it is that you want, it's fine. We're there. It's a safe place to literally hang out. The last few weeks have been incredible. We had ABC, the local ABC station, come down here. We probably had 15 people out there between a first beekeeping experience for Mike. If y'all haven't seen the video, man, we'll put that in there. It's so good. Watching Mike, a Navy submariner who literally is talking about, man, I've been looking for something for 15 years after getting out of the Navy, and I found bees. What the heck?
Wow.
Right? And we got ABC got his first beekeeping experience with Troy on camera. The first time he's ever done it. It's incredible.
Wow.
Chinita, we were able to present her with the scholarship, which was really, really cool. Her kids were there. They're playing around all the bees, and the camera person's like, how are they just doing that? I'm like, these kids are beekeepers. If you see the video, you'll see what I'm talking about. Please, I encourage you to go see it, because those kids are in suits and going out there, and their first sets were actually donated by Hives for Heroes from donors, right? So this is like a pass-through, right? So grateful to be able to know her and her family. We had HPE there. Greg, I know you know about this because of Furno as well, but HPE and Technique FMC, some corporate sponsors that we have. Troy takes care of 6 hives on their campuses. So that's more of a business-to-business relationship where we bring funds into the organization for programming. And they were there as well. So you'll see Amanda that was on there, and her husband is a combat Marine as well. So just really, really cool stories that are present there. And every week is different. This week, we were doing something that's going to be coming out on the store very, very, very soon. Troy's working on that. Kevin will be shipping those out to people that order those. Huge surprise. It's awesome. I think you'll love them. And then we had another 3 people come from Austin and take almost all the remaining gear that we had at the shop, and now it's in their apiary in Austin. So it's just so cool to be able to share, right? To be able to serve others in a capacity that is, like you just said earlier, no strings attached. Enjoy it.
That's amazing. Steve, what are you looking, as we start to wrap it up, what are you looking most forward to this coming year with Hives for Heroes?
Oh man, that's really loaded. I think our leaders have done such an incredible job that they keep pushing everybody in a positive direction. So I would anticipate a significant amount of growth in not only the organization, but also the people in the organization as leaders as they are, as they have been for a long time, right? I would expect, or maybe not expect is the right word, I'd definitely pray on and hope for deeper, meaningful relationships through the authentic accountability in which we have for each other. I would love more collaboration. I mean, we basically every door we knock on, people understand that we are a collaborating entity. We don't want anything from you. In very much the opposite, we even pay to be involved in organizations because we don't want to be takers. We are givers as people that have served. We are not victims. We are leaders, and that goes through from the top to bottom of this organization. And we want to be able to give back in many, many, many large ways. So I would say an increase in the collaborations as well. Hopefully with things of this nature, we're able to share the message of connection, right? Connecting, finding a purpose bigger than yourself, building those healthy, accountable relationships, serving your community and families well. And then understand that these things are going to go to your growth. So whether it's the mentor being able to serve in a capacity of a swarm or a split for you, or the capacity of more and more scholarships. We'd love to increase that to, I mean, if we're giving out $1 million a year one day, man, that'd be incredible, wouldn't it? I mean, come on, no barriers, no roadblocks, education, whatever you want. It's as long as it's earned, it has to be earned. And if it's not earned, nobody likes free stuff, man. You think you do to begin with, but free is not of value. And we want to ensure that this organization stays of high value, high integrity, high character, and builds those leaders and brings other leaders in. If you're a leader in your community, come on with it. We will love to have you. We always are learning. That's one of the things that we talk about on a consistent basis, lifelong learning. And there's no better way to do that than be. When you hear Bob Benny talk about, man, I still don't know nothing. It's a lifelong learning enterprise, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Man, wow. I'm fired up. Let's go. Come on.
Oh man.
Let's go run through that wall over there and let's make great things happen. Let's go do this stuff, man. I am fired up. As we start to wrap it up here, let me go through and see what we have here. Once again, appreciate the super chat, super stickers. We got Brian, $20, Heart of Dixie Hives. I believe that's Ken. Greg, thank you. Matt Kirkland, thank you. Steve Amos. We got Catherine and got Grammy and Square B Farms. Thanks for all those donations tonight. And also, we had a couple of quick questions. Let me see if we may have already answered some of them. Let's see. Yeah, how can I help donate by state for this? That's a good question.
That is a great question, Roy. What we do right now is earmark things for states. We think it's very important for those that are in the states to contribute there and the money stay there and not all come to headquarters. There's a lot of organizations that everything goes to headquarters and they take it and somebody gets a damn new truck or something. That's not what we do. So we want to make sure if you can reach out to support at hivesforheroes.com, we will make sure that does happen. That's a great question, and I know that if you're in Alabama or in New Jersey, no offense, you probably don't care about those in Oklahoma because your veterans are right there. You see them, you see your first responders there, and you'd love to see those dollars go directly to it. And that is a commitment that we've made to the community.
My buddy Eric over here, he's just across the line over here in Southwest Georgia. And he says, would like to have Mr. Steve talk to our group. How does that work? Would it be like your Georgia representative? Would you have Ken come over from Andalusia, Alabama? How would you work that? Or could you come in how does that work, Steve, if people want to have someone come to their group?
It really depends on time, scheduling, etc. I know that a lot of our friends have very, very busy schedules when it comes to the speaking side, and that continues to grow, which we're very, very grateful for. There's multiple options there. One's always the Zoom option. We just did that with Harris County last night because we had our national meeting yesterday, and that was pretty cool because it was Harris County coming into the national meeting, seeing Angela, who's our state inspector, right? Our head apiary inspector, who's also a Navy veteran and a police veteran, which is really, really quite special. And so maybe a Zoom option. I would contact headquarters for sure at support at Hives for Heroes to coordinate that. There's also a link under the Collaborate tab that there's options there, right? If there's options on there, and you might be able to go through there if that's easier for you. And then you also have Alden Reed, who's an Air Force veteran that is in Georgia, and it can help coordinate that as well. He's a wonderful guy.
I will say that we had Ken come over and talk to us, like I mentioned earlier, about a week ago, and he did a great job. I think it'd be really good though, Steve, I would be willing, because obviously if you have one state rep per state, like Stan in Texas, I'm not sure what but I know he's out there. Texas is a big place. Every state is a big place. And so Stan can't get everywhere. So, as people learn about this program, whether it be Eric or even me or Brian or Greg or whoever, let me just bring up the next topic here, because this kind of goes into with what I'm thinking. Do you have literature I could put out at local DAVs, American Legions, et cetera? That I think each of us could almost become our own mouthpieces for this thing as we learn more about the program, as we participate in it. Then we might be able to I'm not sure what the approval is, how you become an approved person, or what to be able to be a representative of Hives for Heroes, how that works. But I could just see this turning into its own animal. So it already has a little bit, but I live right here in Southeast Alabama, Fort Rucker. Now it's Fort Novosel, but Fort Rucker, I mean, it's Army Aviation, but there are very, very few people here that even know anything about this. We have a lot of retirees, military retirees. But I think one thing important too, Steve, kind of segue a little bit, is that this is not just for veterans of the military. It's also for all first responders,
yes, sir.
Police officers, EMTs, just anyone who's considered a first responder can be involved in this program, because you guys are on the front lines every day. And so keep that in mind. If there's anyone watching this who is not a military veteran, it also applies to others. And so anyway, but is there a way, kind of in response to Eric's question and this right here, do you have literature? Do you have stuff that we put out that we can put at different locations?
Yeah, short answer is yes. And we're coming out with more and more things that become even more incredibly simple. And the reason for simple isn't because you can't communicate it, but we want consistency of communication.
Absolutely.
That's a good thing, right? So you reduce the barrier, reduce the burden on the individual, and say, go to hivesforheroes.com. Super easy. We use a lot of QR codes. I know that could be uncomfortable for some of our older population as well, but it's driving towards that. That does a couple things. One, the information is always up to date.
Consistent.
It's consistent and it's up to date. The second thing is we got to put our money where our mouth is. If we're a conservation and sustainability organization, we can't just be throwing paper everywhere, right?
That's
you
right.
got the energy that it takes, the printer toner that it takes, the paper that it takes, the mailbox, all that stuff that contributes to something that we as beekeepers really aren't looking forward to, right? So QR codes are really, really good, but we will be printing out some other stuff for those state beekeeping associations as we continue to collaborate with those. Just building those relationships is really key. But like you said, something that's super simple. Hey, we're Hives for Heroes, supporting our nation's heroes through beekeeping. I mean, really, really simple.
That's awesome. And I just see this thing growing into just a beast. It already has, but even you talked about other countries, but I think it's important you're doing it the right way, Steve, where you're trying to keep it simple and have a very duplicatable system in place, so it's not complicated. You know, you have certain very basic requirements and things like that. But if everyone just starts going out and mark, it can get out of control in a hurry. So people need to be consistent and utilize the Hives for Heroes literature. You can download it, print it, whatever. But I think that's awesome. DC's bees. Let's see. He said, okay, here's a great question. If you were a beekeeper that ended up with extra hives, can you donate colonies or equipment, or is it just money?
Yes, the answer is yes, and please. We have had, again, there are people that are mentors that might have that one hive in their backyard, and that's the limit that they want. There is nothing wrong with that. That's incredible. You know, you're still doing incredible things. So that person might not have the ability to split. Maybe it's a bad year. There's all sorts of stuff, as we know, right? Nature's a beast. So right. We can't have expectations, right? Because expectations also breed disappointment. So now I expect to get a hive. The newbie doesn't get a hive, and all of a sudden they're disappointed and they quit. We don't need that. So yes, absolutely. If you have, extra hives, we would like to keep them regionally because one, it minimizes the cost of logistics and things of that nature, but also the bees, would probably like it better as well, staying regionally. So we can work with that. That's going to be more of a Charles question. And then we would work on the logistics. So if there is something like that, either support or connect at hivesforheroes.com. It is definitely not the first time we have been able to do like almost entire apiaries and split them out with people. The same thing at our corporates that we do because we do not want them expanding too much. So as we split those now go to needing and deserving veterans as well. So it's just constantly giving, right? That constant serving others and giving, something that we're just stewarding, right? At the end of the day, we are stewards of these bees. We don't own them. They will leave on us just as quick as anything else, which also helps us deal with what you were talking about, loss, right? And that trauma associated with loss, that we can get through that. But typically the way you get through that is with a higher power, a higher purpose, understanding that we are stewarding these beautiful creatures. They are not ours.
That's right.
Wow.
Great
I wish
stuff.
I would have known that this year because everybody, they get their little jabs at me about, me being a closet sideliner. I have to stay like within a certain number of colonies just because of like real life with work and everything like that.
Sounds like you got to quit your job, Brian. That's all I'm hearing. I mean,
and earlier this year, I got into the low 20s for colonies and realized very fast, this is too many. So I've found out like as of now, 15 is about my number where I can easily manage 15 colonies. But earlier in the year, like I met a guy who, he wasn't a vet or anything. He happened to stop one day because he was driving past my mom's place where most of my colonies are. And he looked and he just seen, a crap ton of colonies sitting there. And he was like, I got questions about bees. And I ended up, to shorten the story, I ended up getting him 2 colonies at a very, very cheap price, just because I thought this is a guy that, he's out there helping people. And I just kind of paid it forward, and I gave a cousin of mine a colony they wanted to start. And I'm like, I got extras here. You can take one, but this is something, knowing that moving forward, I knew who I'm going to reach out to.
That's wonderful. And we have that in our own leaders, right? Matt, full-time job, North Carolina state leader, incredible human being. And he's like, you know what? I'm getting too many. I'm going to have to, kind of pare it down a little bit. That's the responsible thing to do, right? You don't want to just keep bees just because, you have them and all of a sudden they're malnourished or they're, breeding diseases or things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
So, being smart and creating your own identity is something that we talk about, right? Creating your own identity in beekeeping, understanding capabilities and limitations. Heck, the job is a limitation, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't make you a good or bad person. It just is. And we would love that. That's a huge blessing.
I'll have to keep that in mind because I have plans for next year, like what I'm going to do as far as, there is going to come a point where I'm going to have to split my colonies. Well, what am I going to do with those? So,
and then we have other like sponsors, and I love sharing people's names because it just shows the impact of what one person can do. Bearville bees, right? Last year they gave they gifted a hive to us that went home with Matt. That ended up having bees in that. Then the newbie came in who is who is disabled, right? Could not act, like is literally wheeling to the hive, right? Accessible beekeeping, as Justin would talk about. And now he has a hive that is already prepped for him. I mean, think about that story, right? Doing stuff that comes way before we even knew he existed. By doing the right thing, happening to be within an hour of Matt. Like, that's incredible. So one person gives is a laying hive. One person has the bees. One person does the stewarding work, and the gift goes to a gentleman that never knew it was coming to him. I mean, that's beautiful. You can't make that stuff up.
That's
and,
right.
and I think Lisa said thank you to Ken. Ken is just an incredible guy as well. He's in Alabama. If y'all haven't met Ken, go meet him. He works his tail off as well, and he's been in Alabama for 2 or 3 years doing this with us. And I love getting to go to all the states and actually handshake it and spending time with all our leaders there, because we can't get to all the states, but it truly is a blessing to have the leaders that we have in the United States that are in place are incredible human beings.
Yeah, can I just say, Ken came over last week and talked to us, and he, it just comes from his heart. You can just tell that he's maybe not as polished as some, but to me, someone who speaks from the heart is gonna just that's where it really gets you, and you could just sense that he could feel the calling, the nudge, the urgency of this program, and he lives in this area, so he knows how many military veterans are on this area. And I think he has a tremendous desire just to help as many people as possible. And so, to be honest, I know Ken's on here. I appreciate Ken. He actually helped just motivate me to try and get more involved with this program even faster. And then Lisa, of course, knew a person that was a veteran that wanted to do hives, that wanted to be mentored, someone who already had bees in the past, but they had absconded. And so I'm going to go ahead and mentor her and maybe get her started and hopefully have some success with that. So, it's just one of these things where Ken, in his own way, just did a great job and really had people just, on the edge of their seats, because the thing that I think people who get it, but so many people don't realize just this is a life-saving organization. I mean, that's really what it's about. Yes, it's about the people, but really people who have been through the trauma that a lot of first responders have been, whether it be, local policemen, first responders, EMS, or military guys that have seen a lot of tragedy, it's a life-saving organization. I think we need to realize that that's how serious this is. And so, one of the best things we can do is give back and help serve. I wanted to mention, Brian Lee here talked about, thanks for having Steve on tonight. Great guy and great organization. Looking forward to trading up for Hives for Heroes and Nobby.
Awesome.
So last year, his son, Andrew, started with a little, memory. I think he started with a little sticker and ended up with an uncapping tank or something.
I think from John, right?
I think it was an uncapping tank or something big. It was like a $400 or $500 item. I think he ended up with traded up to different items. So that was fun. Brian has become a good friend of mine. We went to a football game up at Troy, and I've been up to his place, talked to his bee club, and we've actually become really close friends. And he's just a great guy. He's got a great wife and family, and just great people.
Man, that's what it's all about. I mean, it truly is. We talk about relationships are the true currency of life.
Absolutely.
What else do you need? You can't take nothing else with you.
That's right.
But hey, a positive memory, a legacy, a legacy of service, a legacy of caring, a legacy of doing something important with your life. And the important thing isn't the entire organization. The important thing is the singular relationship. That's what makes it so powerful. It's a singular relationship. It's not the whole organization. It's not every single, that's a lot, but you can do something as an individual by stepping up and literally saying, hey, I want to be a friend to that veteran. Just happen to be playing with bees while I'm doing it.
Yeah. Ken, and just back to Ken a little bit, if I remember correctly, in his talk the other night, he talked about the pain that people go through and how so many people address that pain in different ways, but how bees offer that opportunity to just step away from that pain and overcome that issue, the mental things that happen. And so bees, I mean, I just don't, it's impossible to describe, as all of us who have bees know and who love this great, these bugs in a box, is that it's almost a spiritual experience. It's incredible. And it can take you away from your troubles. It is therapeutic. Now it starts to feel like work if you're crazy like me and Greg, but it literally is therapeutic for me. I'd rather be on a day when it's nice weather and the bees are cooperating and things are going fairly well. There's just nothing better. I mean, I'm in my element. I just love it. I just want to stay there. And I do stay there all day lots of times. And so it is a way for people to absolutely put that pain away and help file it away and figure out how to deal with it, in a very positive and productive way. So,
and that's something that we do, at the Hangouts, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to go.
No, go.
That's at the Hangouts. The Hangouts are a representation of what we do every day. We don't have to go through the hives. Oftentimes we can't, and that's okay. Maybe it's raining that day. We can't control that, but you can sit out there, drink a nice cup of coffee from T&T over there, Troy, nice cup of coffee, hanging out and just building that relationship. Again, it's this much about the bees. It's the human aspect. It's the connection. It's the being able to transition in a healthy way in your own community with some of your best friends.
And we had an experience like that at the Creator Convergence back in September, where Brian, Greg, and I sat around a campfire and just, we've always been on this, we've been on this stream team, and we've met each other at the conferences, but we just had the chance just to go down and just hang out, the three of us, and just, that was one of our coolest experiences. And had it not been for the bees and for this community, we would have never even known each other. And so I'd like to maybe kind of start to give each of us a chance. Maybe I'll say a few words and let Brian say a few words, and then ask you, Steve, if you have any questions. And then we'll kind of let Greg typically kind of wraps things up and kind of summarizes and brings it all home. And so I just want to encourage everyone who's on here tonight, if you're a mentor, a mentee, be involved, do what you need to do in any way that you can possibly be a part of this. I would encourage you to do it, whether it be by donating a hive of bees, the equipment, the bees, whether it be purchasing a t-shirt from Hives for Heroes, whether it be signing up. If possible, the best thing to do is sign up as a mentor and hopefully get hooked up with a mentee. If you're having, if you want to become a beekeeper, if you're interested in this, then sign up to be a mentee. And we need to be a little patient though, if you are, because it may take a little while to get matched, but please, let's move this thing forward wherever you are in the world, in this country now. And I know it's going to be expanding to other parts of the world, hopefully in the near future. So let's just do that. I believe in this program. Like I say, I'm kind of a late comer to it. I've heard about it for the last couple of years, but I'm all in. And I'm going to try to do a good job with my mentee, and maybe even get another mentee down the road, and just see what we can do. So I think I'm going to get on order a t-shirt here pretty soon, and I'm all in, man. I'm going to be part of the team. So one more thing, Ken talks about in his speech here in Alabama, how, if you're a mentor, the expectation is after a year to donate a swarm or a hive of bees. The expectation, my understanding, is that the mentee will provide the equipment and so forth. However, I think that's kind of something you work out amongst both of you. If you can donate the equipment, that's fine. But if not, then that's not expected. But just kind of look at everything. If you have any questions at all, contact Hives for Heroes and ask them any questions you have. They're, from what Steve says, very accessible, and don't hesitate to reach out. And Steve, I appreciate having you on tonight. Brian, we'll turn the time over to you. Do you have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to say as we kind of wrap this thing up, Brian?
I'll just piggyback, as to the importance of programs like this, just because, I've got some family members that, served. I also know firsthand, very good friend of mine who was an officer for many years. Met him when I think I was a freshman in college. So I was like 18 years old. And we still, I'm 51 now. We still talk, we don't talk as much, but, life sometimes gets busy. But I know that, the person that I met before he was an officer for, he was an officer for a number of years. He's not the same person. And, he has his moments at times, and we don't even get into, of course we've talked about bees here and there just because I talk about them to whoever, I can talk to them about bees. It's just, you're a beekeeper, you talk about bees, but it's just moments where we would get together and just chat. Like you said, you can't always get into the bees, but it's those moments where you can just talk. You know, I can't count the number of times, and my wife would say also, because we've met him out and we'll grab dinner or something, and when we're leaving, he'll just shake my hand and he'll be like, dude, you have no idea how much this helped me just sitting and talking. And it does, it helps. So even if, you know, you threw out the option, hey, you can help out virtually, I mean, I'll be reaching out as well. So yeah, I will. I mean, programs like this are just so important because I could go on and on and on, but you know, for those that do serve this country, we 100% have to make sure that we are there for them. We do.
Man, it's great. Very well said.
Yeah.
Greg, it's all you, man.
Steve, I've got one of your biggest fans here. She wants to say hi. She's got something here. Here, you got to put these on to be able to hear. Can you hear?
Hi, guys.
You want to say hi?
Hey, how are you?
There you go. You
Wait,
see?
yeah, put these on.
Okay, here, what's this?
Look at that.
My soccer JV letters.
What?
Oh wow.
Congratulations. Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Nice job.
That's awesome.
Congratulations. That takes a lot of hard work. You got a great support team there with you. You know, all the 19 kids that are over there at the Nature's Image Farms. I mean, it's incredible. You got so much support. People love you to death. I'm very proud of you. That's incredible. Good job.
Thank you.
Greg, man, your family.
Oh, hey.
How are you? There's the best half right there. I'll tell you
Hi
what.
guys, we just got home. We decided to we went to a banquet together. I got to eat something I didn't have to make. It was an exciting night. So I'm in a wonderful mood.
Oh, that's incredible. Like you didn't hear me, but I said, you know, the better half has arrived. So it's really good to see you.
Thank you. We can't wait to see everybody in January. We're so excited. We're just relentlessly working away and chugging along and trying to get ready. So
yeah, Louisville's going to be something special. Wow.
Exactly.
It's, really excited. Really excited.
we're excited to see everybody. Thanks for your service. I heard that you were on tonight, and so we wanted to stop in real quick and say hi.
Well, thank you. It's great to see y'all, and
Yeah,
congratulations.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon.
Awesome. Bye.
There you go, babe.
Man, what a blessing, man. That family, you know, just the moment that we all met, right? This was Nebraska, and I know we're going way over time. I just can't explain the warmth that was there with everybody in Nebraska. I mean, you're talking, you know, Cayman, Ian, Bob, Buzz Vance. I mean, these Kevin Monfeld, who put the whole thing on, and all the spouses that were involved in this. I mean, everybody showed. It was like a family reunion. And the craziest part is most of us had never met each other face to face. Like,
wow.
It truly inspiring. And as we continue to grow, you know, I didn't know Dirt Rooster. I'm sure he was weary of me, you know, and then Yappy, we talk weekly, you know. I mean, you're talking all these incredible people being able to create relationships with people like Dr. Ellis and Dr. Bromenshank. I mean, this organization, it transcends itself because it literally is just putting human to human, right? Mm-hmm. And whatever skills you got, bring it in the table. Whatever you don't have, that's all right. Somebody else will pick up the slack. Really, really encouraging. And Greg, you know, I love your family to death. Y'all have done such an amazing job with your kiddos, and you're a heck of an example for all of us. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. One of the beautiful things, this little moment that we could share with everyone is just a sneak peek and a glimpse of what happens when you actually make meaningful and long-lasting relationships, where bees are the conduit to the people, and Hives for Heroes is a part of our journey as well. And it's been an amazing thing to share this life with so many great folks, including you, Steve. Steve, Bruce, I'll kind of close it out, and we'll do it in a way where Steve can't run now. But you guys,
hang on when we're done, Steve. Hang on when we're done, when we close it out for a few minutes.
Roger that.
Steve, as you have folks, if you've never met Steve, I'm going to embarrass him by telling him he is just one of the most beautiful, loving, kind, and humble humans that you will ever meet. It's an absolute honor to call him a friend, to call him a brother. And he's just, if you notice a few things about Steve immediately, there is no I, there is no me, there is no here's what I'm doing, I'm so great. It is the team. Here's what we are doing for others. It's service. And it is an absolutely a blessing to so many folks across the country. I want to encourage folks. I want you just to, for just a second, think about this. You know, it doesn't matter in what darkness you may find yourself or somebody in the future. A little light goes a long way. You're looking at somebody who was in a dark place, post military service, and a little bit of light, bugs in the box, were the conduit. What we all now know as Hives for Heroes, that is reaching globally veterans, shining light that did the same thing for Steve, is doing for hundreds and thousands of folks across the world because of making this powerful connection, putting people together and building those relationships. That is a very beautiful thing. I just want folks to take a minute and just think about that. You may think that, you know what, I'm not qualified. I'm not good enough. My bees are always dead. I don't know what I'm doing. There's always something that you can do to shine a little light, to be a lighthouse to others. And I would encourage you to go to hivesforheroes.com, check out what they're about. And if you feel that tug on your heart to do something, sign up, be a part of it. It's a beautiful thing. Because after all, it's not just about beekeeping. It's about being our brother's keeper. Steve Jimenez with Hives for Heroes, we want to thank you for joining us tonight. I want to thank all the folks who are tuning in and listening and being a part of this huge family. We're looking forward to seeing everybody in January at the North American Honeybee Expo. Steve, it's going to be great to see you guys there too. It's one of those things where this is not a family reunion. This is a homecoming, and it's going to be so fun to have everybody there. It's so awesome. I appreciate you, Steve, what Hives for Heroes is doing. Thank you for that. Thank you for your service. And as always, we want to remind folks to be the lighthouse and be the change you want to see in this world. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.